Okay, so welcome back everyone. As we know that we have successfully connected MongoDB Atlas, and from our previous lecture we had already created our schema or model using Mongoose model, and we have exported it as well. So in this lecture we are going to complete our CRUD operation: create, read, update and delete items. So in order to create an item, we will click on save a thing, and from here we will fill up a form. Once this form is filled, we know that using this body parser we will be able to parse the values or access the values from our front end, and then using our post method and this schema we can insert or save the values in our database, and then using our get method we will retrieve the values and display the values on this page. Now in order to perform all these tasks, I have removed our previous code till these headers. So let's create our post request. So I will write app.post and our path is API/stuff, and as usual we are going to write request, response and next arguments in an arrow function. Now in order to access the elements, we are required to create a new item, and this will be a new product. But in order to use this product, I am actually required to import it. So I'll use const product with capital P, and I will say that we require it from our models and product 5. So the first thing that we are interested in is title, and from the request body field we will access the title. Similarly for the description, we will say request.body.description. For price, we'll say request.body.price. For image URL, we'll say request.body.image URL, and then user ID being request.body.user ID. So in here we are not requiring ID because this will be generated by Mongo itself. And then the final thing is run save method on item, and this is it. And because this save will return a promise, so we will use .then here, and within this then we will use an arrow function, and we will also catch the error. And for the error we will once again use an arrow function, and in here we will catch the error. For this one, this arrow function, we will say that response.status of 201. So we are using 201 due to item creation, and we will respond back with a JSON data, and we will transfer a message saying item saved successfully. For the error, we will do the same. We must return back a response, but this time this response will be 400, and we'll say that the error is error. Now once this post route is completed and our data is inserted, or the item information is inserted into the database, it is necessary to retrieve it and show it into our front end so that we can confirm that information is successfully sent to the database. So we are required to retrieve the information as well, and in order to retrieve the information we will use app.get method, and our path will be same API/stuff, and in here we will use request, response and next parameters, and here we will say that from product find, and in here we can use the options to find a product with a certain name or certain date, but for now we will say that once you have received some products, use a then method. And for all these items that you have received, the response is status of 200 with the JSON of items to be sent back. And then we can also say that catch any errors. So catch, and for this one we will say error and this arrow function. And once again we will send the response. So we will say response, but this time the code will be 400, and in the JSON we will say error and error, and let's save it. Now let's try it out. So first thing first, let's sell a thing and call it tech time. Let's make it 50. This is first tech time product, and here I will just load the image from pixel.photos/600. Let's submit it. So we are having a value or response over here. So for this one, let's rerun our node one and then submit this once again, and there you go. So we have our tech time over here. If I click on it, I still won't see anything at all because we haven't worked on individual object. Let's click on save a thing and write code show 550. This is our second item from tech time as code, and here once again I will say that pixel.photos, and let's make it 800, and there you go. So there is a code pro, and if I click on this one, once again we are unable to intercept the individual object. Now in order to get the individual object, we are once again going to copy this entire thing from here, paste it over here, and for the individual thing we will say that we will intercept it with the ID, and this column will define the dynamic ID. So every image or every item has a different ID. If I click on here, you will see this ID over here, and if I click here, you will see a different ID in here. So here we will use find one, and within this find one we will insert an object, and we will say that with the ID that is received from the request parameters ID to get that ID, and once this ID is received, then just send that item only. So I will just save it. Now if I reload it and click on tech time, we are able to access this one. If I go back and click on this one, I am able to access this image as well. But we are still unable to modify or delete this one. For the modification, we will use put method. So for the put method, I will copy this entire thing here and paste it. Instead of get, I will use put, and instead of find one, I will say update one. And we are going to update this ID with something new. So I will write new underscore item. For now, I will remove everything in here or just comment it out for now. So I need to create a new item so that the new fields could be inserted into this ID that we are accessing or we are trying to update. So I'll write const and create a new item, and this new item is actually a new product with all the things that we had already created over here. So I'll just copy all these things from here and paste it in here. However, this new item will have a different ID, which we do not want. So we want to have it the same ID. So we'll say underscore ID, and this ID should be accessed from the parameters. So in the parameters, if you are writing here ID, you must write here ID as well in here. If you're writing here item underscore ID, you must write item underscore ID here as well. For now, we are using ID only. So let's just save it, and because this will return a promise, so I am going to uncomment this one and remove the semicolons as well. Here we will not say it, we will just say okay, status of 201, because new things are being updated into our product, and in here we will just say a message saying that your item is updated. Save it. Let's come back, then modify this one and write code pro 2. Let's make it 40 and write updated here. Let's update it. So there you go. You can see code pro 2 40, and if I click on this one, you will see the updated letter in the description of this item. Now it's time to delete it. So for the delete, I will use this one once again. So I'll just copy it and paste it here. And here I will say that I want to delete a particular ID. And here I will say delete one. I will also write delete here. And here I'll pass the object, and it should be ID. And I will say that access the ID from request body, not the request body, but request parameters dot ID. And then I do not need to pass items here. I just will say that okay, successfully deleted. So the code will be 200, and I will send a message here. Otherwise, send an error, and just save it. Make sure you are running delete one query over here. Looks good. Let's check it. So now if I delete this one, if I click on delete, it is deleted. And let's create one more thing. Let's say temp delete slash 1200, and let's submit it. And there you see the temp delete file here. Let's click on this one. Let's update it. Sure, let's update it. And there you see the modification has been done. Now click here once again, and then let's delete it. When I delete it, I am returned back to my front end, and I no more see that image or the item. So this was all about the CRUD operation. See you in the next class.